So
All right.
The topic that I'm going to discuss today sits a little bit at the intersection of the political, social, technological areas. So a short disclaimer, the opinions that I will express are majorly my own opinion, and they don't necessarily represent IKEA opinions. So I will start with a short statement on IKEA as an organization. We have this very important document called People and Planet Positive, which defines our strategy, actually since 2012, where we update this document every year. And it is rooted very deeply in the values of IKEA. And these values are the ones you see on the screen. One of them is caring for people and the planet. And the overarching narrative at IKEA that defines us is to create a better everyday life for the many people. And what we understand by that is that a better life is actually this sweet spot where social, environmental, and economic needs and realities meet. And this is what we're trying to do with group sustainability and innovation at IKEA, to constantly redefine what it means for the current generations and the future generations. So I'll start with the many people, as we like to call our customers, wherever they are, and with their concerns. And I could probably define this using just this one slide, where you can see the current reality we are living through with the coronavirus pandemic and the next waves that will be difficult for our societies to handle, such as economic recession, climate change, and even quite likely biodiversity collapse. But I decided to go one step deeper into this, and actually I looked into World Economic Forum and their most recent global risk report, where they took a number of topics and they ranked them on this graph where you see on the left side impact on the planet and us, and on the right side at the bottom the likelihood of happening. And they actually talked to both well-established multi-stakeholders that represented governments, civil societies, private sector, religious groups, academia, media, but also to young people that they call the global shapers, people who, according to World Economic Forum, drive dialogue, action, and change. And this is the picture that came out of this research. This is just the very beginning of the report. The report goes much deeper into this. But this was, I think, a very relevant slide to start with, where you see they grouped these concerns and problems into different categories, where each color represents a different category. And you see some of them are a little bit on the outside, but most of them are gravitating towards the center of this graph. And to make it simple to understand, this is what the major concerns mentioned from both fronts, the representatives and younger people ended up. They ended up actually at this intersection of social, technological, and economical areas. So I'll start from there. And when we do our research at IKEA, we are also mapping our customers' concerns and needs. So this picture now is a bit wider, going a little bit beyond World Economic Forum, but I just wanted to share my thoughts on this. So if you look at the intersection of technology and society, you see we are going through a very interesting times where we have quite strong polarization in society, and even fake news appear more and more often. Studies confirm that a lot of people feel that they interact with fake news on daily basis. There are already experiments with social credit systems, the most probably well known in China, but also I think what social media are doing with us, and the way of fact-checking systems, as they call it, could also be seen as a corporate way of trying to do the same with us as users in different networks. Then on the other side of the spectrum, as we move towards technology, we see massive artificial intelligence or deep learning algorithms, implementation, automation of things, robotics, that leads to jobless society. And a lot of research confirms that we are coming to the moment in time where we will face a lot of people losing their jobs or being forced to reskill, to learn new skills. Actually, if you look at companies like Amazon, it is already a normal standard that people are governed by algorithms that define whether they can keep their work or they can or they have to be replaced by someone. Then if we go on more towards the intersection of economics and technology, we see a major fiat money crisis with that economy and the system that has been questioned and is, maybe coming to an end. We'll see. We have ideas in the air such as universal basic income, something that has never been there for centuries. And this is accompanied by global digitalization and exponential growth, which, by the way, people find very difficult to understand. We are very much linear in our thinking, and exponential dynamics are very difficult for us to grasp. And finally, there are other trends or concerns around such topics as technocracy and emerging new standards of money that people don't necessarily understand, and maybe many do not even agree with. So this is the part of the concerns and problems that shape us as society. And I try to bring a few megatrends to show all of you the paradigm shift we are living through. And I started with a lot of scattered data from my own research or from just the interesting facts that I get from my network and by reading the different articles and news. And you see, we are going through really amazing times. Internet transfer speeds are beating new records. We are able to do things that we have not thought were possible because coronavirus has changed a lot of things. Like I was really blown away by watching the Disney Mandalorian series and learning after a few episodes that the entire series was shot in one studio without leaving the location, using virtual production technology. Some countries are already announcing they will ban combustion engines, and you see the first attempts of computer games based on blockchain technology, where gamers will actually have a chance to earn money by playing the games. And then this is, accompanied by a lot of other interesting data, such as the growth of artificial intelligence algorithms and what they are capable of, and studies about millennials, Gen Zs, that show that they are digital natives, practically living their life online. And then the whole technology trends towards extended reality, spatial computing, digital avatars. So one of the probably most interesting things for me in the last couple of years was when I heard actually a great Greek speaker, Andreas Antonopoulos, saying in one of the interviews that one of the most interesting things that Bitcoin did was it enabled the ownership of money to any natural, legal, or artificial entity. So he said, actually, today software can own money. And this was really like, wow, this is big. Software can own money. So AI agents can own money and they can participate in transactions with us. Gartner summarized it by saying that digital me is probably one of the mega trends that will shape the next 10 years. So what I did is I put these, scattered facts and trends around, and I try to bring to the surface the things where I see the biggest in connection to the topic of today. And I think they are related around demographic changes, millennials and Gen Zs, massive decentralization of things, the digitalization of our life, and creating this digital me concept, and the emerging metaverse, where we see technologies like spatial computing, extended reality, AI, but also Internet of Things and distributed ledger technology, building the new layer for the new internet. Meanwhile, we also see the governments and regulations that are staying somehow behind all the technology advancements. They're not able to catch up with everything that's going on, and a growing erosion of trust. So out of this, I came to a conclusion: we are actually entering this period in time that Thomas Kuhn, a philosopher from the 60s, defined as the paradigm shift. And it is, let's say, referring a little bit to this cyclical nature of things. It also reminds me of another interesting concept that two American historians, Strauss and Howe, came with in the 90s, called the fourth turning. I will not dive deep into this now, but I encourage you to look into this. It's very interesting. And I think we are in this, by their definition, the period of the fourth turning and the big paradigm shift. So what does it mean for us, and what can we expect? I started with this question to myself, actually. Are we ready for the Web 3.0 and beyond Web 3.0? Because the paradigm shift is clearly pushing us all into the digital, and the digital will most likely not look like it did for the last 50 years. So I started with this part of my presentation with actually a LinkedIn post that I did some time ago, where a friend of mine sent me this map of the entire World Wide Web and the internet in the 1969, where we had very early foundations of the internet as we know it, with the TCP/IP protocol, packet switching, and the first original ARPANET network. So I just did a quick math, and I realized that in 50 years, we grew from 4 nodes in the internet network to going beyond 4.4 billion users last year. So we've had a billion X growth in just 50 years. And of course, if you study the history of the web, we went through several iterations, and currently we are at entering the Web 3.0 iteration of the World Wide Web. And then again, going back to the World Economic Forum, they put things in an interesting perspective when they entered this chapter, because they changed the name of World Wide Web into Wild Wide Web, which goes to show how many things are still outside of our control and unregulated, and where we as consumers on the web are subject to a lot of privacy violation and other cyber crimes that we are often not even aware of. So going through this part of my slides, I thought this would be a good graph to start with. This is an attempt to show the history of the web iterations, where we had Web 1.0, with a very simple read-only interaction, and then Web 2.0 that most of us have experienced for most of our life, where we had the emergence of social networks, Wikipedia, and video, audio streaming, and e-commerce. And now we are entering this Web 3.0 reality that is supposed to be a semantic web, and a lot of new protocols are being built to enable that. Of course, we are not there yet. It's not working 100%, but we are there. And the future is, as the slide describes, moving towards some probably really abstract ideas for now, but somehow already doable in small scale, such as augmented reality web or virtual reality web, with a lot of AI agents interacting with us, and new definition of communities that we will see. And then further into probably us being even connected to the internet, using some new kind of interfaces, machine to brain interfaces. So I like this slide. Oh, sorry. I like this slide too, because I thought this is a good data point to bounce from. If you look, this comes from McKinsey research, an excellent research called Connected World, where you see from 2014 until now how prices of sensors, storage, and computing power dropped. At the bottom, you see also the growth of internet and devices being connected to the internet. It is estimated that now in 2020, we have crossed 30 billion IoT devices being connected to the internet and constantly in communication. So the slide on the right shows you the reality we are already living through, maybe not being aware of that, where everything slowly is getting interconnected to each other, to one another, vehicles, infrastructure, people, and a lot of new sensors. So this new world with physical and digital interconnectivity is where Web 3.0 kicks in. And this poses a question about the web design, the internet design. So currently, we have seen the progress from very much centralized architecture of the networks towards more decentralized, and with the emergence of distributed ledger technology and possibilities that this technology unlocks, we are also seeing the power of distributed network architecture. So I'll have a few words about the distributed technology now as GPT. GPT stands for general purpose technology. And examples of general purpose technologies come with certain characteristics. GPTs are technologies that have enormous impact on the global economic system, and not for a short time, but for a long period of time. And they have many different use cases, and they usually have potential to drastically alert societies and generate secondary spillovers to the rest of the economy. GPTs are also single recognizable generic technologies, and examples of them could be, starting from steam engine, electricity, mechanization, automation, computers, internet, or the biotech. And that's where distributed ledger technology fits, and the science is actually classifying DLT and blockchains as GPT. So we're looking at the prehistory with the birth of internet in '69, first public key cryptography in '70s and '80s, then HTML standard in the '90s, and the first attempts to create this money of the internet with Hashcash and BitGold. Or even peer-to-peer file sharing networks with Napster and BitTorrent in year 2000. We got to the first reusable proof of work applications in 2004, and finally 2008, where when Satoshi Nakamoto published his white paper and Bitcoin was born. So there are many speakers that will touch on this today, so I will not dive into this slide. These are the characteristics of distributed ledger technology. And some people have perhaps difficulty differentiating, understanding where blockchains are and where DLTs are, and where the boundary lines are. So this slide hopefully will clarify a little bit. One thing they have in common is this amazing ability to reach decentralized consensus without the presence of the middleman in between all of us. And this is where I think this will be, or already is, one of the fundamental layers of the Web 3.0 and beyond. So I'll share some thoughts now where it could all go into the future. So please take it with a grain of salt, but this is a little bit trip into the future. What decentralized consensus enables, I think, is that we will see internet gravitating towards actually virtual shared worlds. So if you imagine the decentralized network architecture, we could see the decentralized network with even smaller networks inside that are totally distributed, using different protocols, network protocols, and different consensus algorithms that will talk to each other and create, as such, the new web. This is, of course, a long perspective. It will take time to get there. But if we are able to realize this vision, we could see a new type of the internet, a new type of businesses and interactions between us as people that will be decentralized and distributed by design, where we will have the merger of physical and digital worlds, creating multi-dimensional interaction with, AR, VR, and all sort of other devices, even traditionally using computer screens or mobile phones. We will have definitely the Internet of Money with everything tokenized, because this is the money of the Internet, native money of the Internet. And we will have, as I mentioned earlier, natural, legal, and artificial participants interacting with one another at the same time. So we'll have AI agents, companies, and people in this environment. Looking at the different networks playing into each other, we will need to have high interoperability between those networks and their protocols. Definitely digital avatars and the whole new fashion that comes with them will be a huge thing. Just to mind you, the largest multiplayer online game in the world by Epic Games called Fortnite. I think, if I'm not wrong, 70% of their revenues come from selling the digital avatars for the characters in the game. So this is really amazing if you look into the data. What will also come with this new Web 3.0 and beyond concept is we will have a new definition of reputation that some scientists call meta reputation. And the economy might gravitate towards attention economy, where the time we spend in certain media, in certain networks with certain products or services will be monetized just by us being attentive to those areas. We will also face cybernetic governance models. And when I mean cybernetic, I mean embracing a lot of things that the governance philosophy of today is not capable of, or is not embracing enough. And finally, this will lead to the new dimension of availability and scalability for businesses and individuals. So just moving to an end of my presentation, I'd like to finish with a thought. In order to get there, there is a lot of work to be done, both on individuals and companies. And actually, I think we all have to really stay connected and keep learning, because we have been equipped with a beautiful ship of our, cognitive and social abilities. But as this wise saying by John August Shedd says, "Ship in harbor is safe, but that is not what ships are built for." So I hope we can, sail on and create this new, better web and new, better world using the decentralized consensus as one of the underlying layers. So that's what I wanted to share with you for today.
Thank you, Marek. Really inspirational and interesting stuff. Probably we don't have, I don't know if we have some questions. Otherwise, I would like to ask you something about this new state of Web3. Where exactly do you think the DLT fits in the technology stack compared to the other, big disruptive technologies? And do you think that now with the pandemic, this has shifted a bit compared to what we believed, let's say, 1 year ago?
Yeah, definitely. The pandemic has played a big role into the acceleration of trends, the digital trends, without any doubt. I mean, we have been locked in our apartments, homes, not traveling, not moving too much from where we live geographically. Yet, still amazingly, society is functioning and business is happening, and people are connecting with one another. And the DLT, I think, is an absolutely necessary technology layer in this stack, as you called it, because if you look into the Web 3.0 and beyond, and the acceleration of a lot of mega trends, we will never be able to scale this concept unless we have removed the central authority of trust, and unless we have reached the way to become agreed with one another, to align with one another, using faster, more scalable solutions than the ones we inherited from our grandparents. So that's why I brought this, tried to bring this angle into my presentation, that decentralized consensus and technologies built around it will be the fundamental layers of the new internet.
Great. Thanks a lot. Thanks for your contribution in our conference. It was fantastic. And now we're going to move on to the next speaker. Thank you, Marek. And
Thank you.
Take care. Take care.